Good day everyone, good day sir. My topic is all about the affective domain. So last week we already tackled about the cognitive and the psychomotor domain. So the cognitive domain focuses on our mind. Example is simple recall, remembering, or understanding. The psychomotor domain naman is focuses on the skills, abilities, and performance of our students. But today I will going to discuss what is the affective domain. So affective domain is one of the domain in learning alongside with the cognitive and the psychomotor domain. Cognitive domain is focuses on the personal interests of our students, the feelings of our students, their values, their attitudes, and their behavior inside of our classroom, inside sa sulod sang aton nga klase. Also, affective domain is considered as the most difficult domain during sa teaching and learning process. So, bakit nga ba considered siya as most difficult domain during sa teaching and learning process natin? It's because we should hit sa personal interest ng ating students during sa ating discussion. We already know that the attention span of students is only 7 to 15 minutes. So, dapat we as a future educator, as we teach in the near future, dapat yung ating lesson is engaging. Dapat yung lesson natin is catchy sa interest ng ating students. Hindi dapat tayo magtuturo ng just a simple recall lang ng mga information. We should also apply some real life situation or experiences para yung students natin is mas ma-engage sila or makuha natin yung personal interest ng ating students. In that way, they can also give their opinions. They can also give their personal experiences na related sa ating topic or sa ating lesson. So, kung ikaw as an effective teacher, kapag effective teacher ka, nakikita mo yung students mo na nai-engage nila yung sarili nila sa ating lesson or sa ating topic. They can relate to our topic so that the classroom environment is more engaging. So, that is the effective domain. Kailangan lamang natin na maging yung lesson natin is maging catchy, maging engaging sa ating students. Next, the taxonomy of the affective domain. We have 5 taxonomy of affective domain, but my part is just 2 only. Dalawa lang yung i-discuss ko. First is the receiving. So, the receiving level involves being aware of or sensitive to the existences of a certain ideas, materials, or phenomena. Example include is accepting, attending, developing, and recognizing. So, yung receiving level natin is tumutukoy yun sa willingness ng ating students to learn. If they are willing to learn. So, sino nga ba yung sender ng information sa ating students? Syempre, tayo as a teacher, we are the sender of information. We are the sender of the knowledge na i-impart natin sa ating students. So, the receiver is our students. They receiving the information and knowledge that we imparted sa kanila. So, during sa ating teaching and learning process, dapat yung mga tinuturo natin sa kanila is yung mga facts. Yung hindi dapat haka-haka lamang, dapat facts yung ating tinuturo sa kanila because they are receiving it They receive the information na nanggagaling sa atin. Kapag mali yung information na nare-receive nila, mali rin yung information na naiintindihan nila. So that dapat tayo as a teacher, we should teach only facts sa ating mga students. So, as what like I've said kagaina is dapat yung lesson natin is more engaging siya so that sa pag-receive ng information ng ating students, they are interested to receive the information na tinuturo natin sa kanila. Second is the valuing. So this level involves demonstrating a willingness to be perceived by others as valuing certain ideas, materials, or phenomena. Example includes increasing proficiency, relinquishing, subsidizing, supporting, and debating. So, valuing. Dito na natin makikita yung commitment ng ating students sa ating lesson. Makikita rin natin dito ang pagiging effectiveness natin as a teacher because they value the information or they value the information they receive. They value the knowledge na gi-impart natin sa ila. Example of this is naga-debate na sila. They also they engaging in debating. The students debate on what is the lesson she value or he value, and the other students also debate on the lesson what is he or she values. Kumbaga, nag-debate na sila sa mga lessons na gi-commit nila or the lesson nga gina-debate nila, so that makikita natin in that way na yung students natin is already received the information or makikita natin na effective yung ating pagtuturo sa kanila kasi they already value the information na tinuro natin sa kanila. So that's all, and thank you.
So, good day, sir. I am Ferlin May Nietes. I am the second reporter, and my report is all about the organization. Organization here's individual relate the values they hold to those already held and integrate them into harmonious and consistent philosophy. Examples include discussing, theorizing, formulating, balancing, and examining. So, here in the organization, ito ay tumutukoy sa isang kilos o sa isang kilos ng isang tao na na pinapaugnay o inuugnay yung lahat ng mga ideya na inyong nalalaman at ang nalalaman ng nito sa mga kasamahan mo na kung gagawa kayo ng isang pangkatang gawain. Halimbawa, lahat kayo ay mag-share kayo ng knowledge nyo sa isa't isa, which is the example, meron kayong isang problem na binigay at lahat kayo magbibigay o magdi-discuss kayo sa inyong kagrupo na lahat magbibigay ng ideya at di naman lahat pareha yung mga ideya na binibigay, no? So you must all of the groupmates must give their own idea to this problem na inyong maisisolve at lahat na yun ay kukunin nyo yung mga ideya na yun at idugtong-dugtong nyo o iugnay nyong lahat kung pareho ba yung mga ideya nyo, kung tama ba itong gagawin nyo para ma-resolve nyo ang inyong mga topic. And also, pagtapos na pag-discuss ng inyong topiko ay i-formulate o formulating yung mga sagot na galing sa inyong kasama, sa inyong kagrupo ay ikukunin nyo yun, solvan nyo, i-formulate nyo ang tamang gagawin, i-formulate nyo lahat kung ito ba'y tama o tugma sa inyong gagawin, sa inyong sagot. At lahat ay magbibigay at lahat ay tatalakayin ninyo sa inyong loob ng isang presentasyon. At dapat ang paggawa ng inyong mga sagot, i-balancing, like i-balance nyo kung ganito ba ang dapat gawin sa ganyan, kung tama ba ito, at kung lahat ba ay nakakaintindi. At yun ang inyong gagawin sa tinatawag na organization na lahat ay mag-kooperasyon o like mag-organisa o organisasyon o organisan nyo ang inyong mga sagot, i-combine nyo kung tama ba ito o mali sa isang diskasyong ginawa o binigay sa inyo. At ang pangalawa ay the characterization by value or value set. At this highest level, individuals act consistently in accordance with the values they have internalized. Example is include revising, requiring, avoiding, resisting, managing, and resolving. So example din is value daw is a highest level of individuals act, and which is true. Example sa aton dapat values, di ba ngayon, values in education, inaaral natin yung values natin, dapat aware tayo sa sarili natin, aware tayo ano ang ating i-act kung dapat nakabase talaga sa values na ating gagawin. And as a future teacher, no, alam natin sa sarili natin, example, no, soon as we teach na sa students, you as a teacher, know your values, know your limitations, your attitudes, so para i-show sa students mo. And for that, you would be respectful sa imong mga students. And one of the example of this is the revising, include examples are revising, requiring, avoiding. Example dito is like sa paggawa ng inyong group task o pangkatang gawain pa rin, na gagawa kayo ng isang modelo ng daloy na ekonomiya. So kayo, alam nyo kung hanggang alam nyo yung tamang gawin, alam nyo kung gagawin nyo to, tama ba ang maging resulta, which is maging advanced kayo ba? Like, advanced critical think. You must be critical thinking for those project na inyong gagawin, which is dapat talaga mapanindigan nyo. O like, you have to manage yourself also nga na kaya nyong gawin yung mga ganyang bagay. And avoiding. Example sa avoiding is like, you know your limitations. You know how to avoid in that certain problem. Alam mo, pag gagawin mo to, makakasira siya sa inyo. Alam mo, pag gagawin mo tong bagay na to, alam mo, mali ang resulta. At ikaw, iiwas ka sa ganun. And resisting and managing and resolving. And also, to have a highest level of values, alam mo kung paano i-resolve ang mga problema, paano mo gagawa ng solusyon, paano mo i-manage ang sarili mo, paano mo gawing mas mag-grow ang inyong sarili to those type of problems. Examples, as a student, we know how to resolve our problem, we know how to avoid and set limitations in all cost. Example, as when we communicate now, we know what is the boundaries between me and other people, and I know if I'm maglapaw ka sa imong limitation is like kalain gid ang resulta. So you must be aware of yourself and all your actions, syempre. And that's all, sir. And good day. I am Ferlyn Minates. Thank you, sir. God bless po.
Good day, everyone. I am Anajoy Tamid Tirasa. I am the Group 3 reporter, and this is the continuation of the topic of Miss Ferlyn Nietes. So this time, we're going to tackle about the K-focal concepts in effective learning. So ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin ng K-focal concepts in effective learning? So ito ay ang mga sentro o ang mga sentro na mga idea o main idea sa effective learning. So ano-ano nga ba ang mga key concepts in effective learning? So nang una ay ang attitude. So attitude are the learned predispositions to respond in a particular way to people, objectives, or ideas. They are influenced by experiences, emotions, and beliefs. So, ang attitude pala ay natutunan sa kung saan nakasanayan ng isang bata. So, bakit nga ba mahalaga o importante ang attitude sa pag-aaral ng isang bata? Kasi nga, halimbawa na lang kung ang bata ay positibo ang saloobin ng isang bata, meron siyang gana na mag-aral, o kumbaga may aktibo siya na pumasok sa kanyang, aktibo siyang sumali sa mga aktibidad. At kung halimbawa lang kung hindi positibo ang kanyang saloobin, maaaring mawalan siya ng gana o mawalan siya ng gana sa lahat ng mga bagay. Pangalawa ay ang motivation. So, motivation refers to the reasons or forces that drive individuals to engage in particular behavior. It can be intrinsic, stemming from internal factors like enjoyment or interest, or intrinsic, driven by external rewards or pressures. So, ang motivation nga pala, base sa natutunan ko sa isang subject na aking ni-report noon, ay ang intrinsic motivation ay yun yung Yun yung sa loobin lamang ng isang mag-aaral. Kumbaga, na-motivate siya sa pamagitan ng kanyang sarili. Bawal lamang sa kanyang isipan ay masabi niyang makaya niya, o kumbaga minomotivate niya ang kanyang sarili. So, ang extrinsic naman, extrinsic motivation naman ay yun yung ibig sabihin na minomotivate ka ng mga tao sa iyong paligid. Halimbawa, ikaw ay nag-aaral. Halimbawa, sinabi ng mama mo na pag ma-perfect mo yung exam mo, meron kang pabaya, ganon, extrinsic motivation. So, mahalaga ang motivation sa effective learning ng isang estudyante. 'Di ba? Kung ikaw isang estudyante, maring pag motivated ka, maroon kang gana na mag-aral, na may masigla kang pumasok sa iyong paaralan, hindi ba? At ang pangatlo naman ay ang self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the belief in one's own ability to perform a task or achieve a goal. It plays a significant role in motivation, effort, and persistence. So, ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin ng self-efficacy? Self-efficacy, ibig sabihin nun, may tiwala ka sa iyong sarili. May tiwala ka sa sarili mo na makaya mong gawin. Halimbawa, kung ito ay maring epekto din ng iyong motivation. Kung motivated ka, halimbawa kung motivated ka ay may tiwala ka sa sarili mo na ay kaya kong gawin yon. Kumbaga positibo ang nasa isip mo. Kung kaya't maaring maging effective ang learning ng isang estudyante o ng isang mag-aaral kung alam niya na kaya niya. Halimbawa kung may exam, dapat 'di ba kung motivated ka, makaya mong sagutan ang exam, o kumbaga makastudy ka ng maayos pag motivated ka, hindi ba? At yun lamang po, at maraming salamat.
Good afternoon, sir. I am the continuation of Miss Tilasa. I am Jeneline D. Chaton. So my topic is about rating skill for effective assessment. So rating skills confers tools designed to qualify subjective attitudes and feelings, providing a standardized approach to collecting effective data. So for example, dito is ang rating skill is usually used for rating and answer. Then by the use of types of rating scales types, and then ang types of scales is beyond Likert scales. There are semantic differential scales and visual analog scales, each allowing for nuanced measurement of emotional responses rather. So for example, para sa may isa ka research or nagkanta ka mo sa isa ka research through Likert scale, like nag-agree, disagree, and also use of checking.
Hi, I'm Giselle de la Cruz. Report ko ay tungkol sa checklist of affective domain. Checklists streamline the assessment process by providing a clear framework for evaluating specific emotional and attitudinal indicators, promoting straightforward observation. So, ibig sabihin, ang checklist streamline ng assessment process ay nagbibigay ng malino na batayan para sa pagsusuri ng emotional at attitudinal indicators. Mahalaga na ang mga taga-masid ay may kaalaman sa mga indicators at may kakayahan na i-observe ang mga ito. Ang objectives ng sampling checklist na ito ay nagbibigay ng malinaw na gabay, kaya mas madali ang pag-assist na mas mabilis ang proseso. Sa ganitong paraan, mas magiging epektibo at direkta ang proseso ng pagsusuri. Sa isang tool ng assessment domain ay checklist na ginagamit upang sukatin at i-assess ang emotional na aspekto ng isang tao tulad ng kanilang mga saloobin, damdamin at pag-uugali. Ang mga halimbawa nito ay ang checklist para sa emosyonal na pagkamalikhain o creative and emotional expression. Nagpapakita ng interes sa mga aktibidad. Pangalawa, checklist of self-assessment. Magpapahalaga sa sarili o naniniwala sa sariling kakayahan. Checklist number 3, sa interpersonal na kakayahan or interpersonal skills. Nakikinig sa iba ng may respeto. Checklist number 4, para sa moral na pagpapahalaga or moral values. Nagpapakita ng pagpapahalaga sa katotohanan. Madalas ginagamit ang mga checklist na ito sa mga paaralan, training session at mga corporate setting upang mas maayos na masuri ang growth ng mga participants sa kanilang emotional and social skills. Ang paggamit ng checklist ay nagbibigay daan sa mga guro, coach o tagapagsanay upang matukoy ang mga posibleng areas for improvement at maitaguyod ang mas positibong paglago sa affected domain. Yun lamang po at maraming salamat.
So, good evening, sir. I am Salvador Pajaro. I am a continuation report of Kuya Giselle de la Cruz. My report is all about observational instruments. So, it offers educators a dynamic method for assessing effective response in educational settings. So, as a teacher, kailangan mayroon tayong different method and strategies para maging effective teachers tayo. And through structured observation, teachers can gain real-time insight into their student emotional interactions. The establishment of criteria for evaluations allows for systematic and consistent assessments, enriching overall educational practices with reliable data and capture the dynamic of emotional learning. So, ang observational instrument, ito ay ginagamit para ma-measure, ma-assess, and ma-document ang student behaviors, attitudes, or emotional responses in real time. So, because of observational instrument as a teachers, we are systematically evaluate how students interact with their environment, their peers, their instructional content. So, by use of this method, it is not only to foster a supportive learning environment, but also to ensures that the student emotional needs are organized and addressed effectively. So, next is creativity test. Creativity encompasses the ability to generate original ideas and solutions, impacting emotional engagement and personal expression in learners. So, the creativity test is to ensure an individual ability, because in this test, the students can evaluate problem-solving test, innovate thinking, and imagination. So, for example, a teacher give a classroom activity where students design invention to solve a common problem. So, the student can promote a creative problem-solving skills. And that's all. Thank you.
I am Shailene Labarite. My topic is all about 4 components of creativity. Components 1. Fluency refers to the ability to produce a large number of ideas or response within a given frame and reflecting generation of diversity truth. So, fluency, this is refers to the ability to generate a large number or ideas or response within a given time frame. It reflects the generations of diversity ideas. For example, if you were asking to list all the possible use for a break, someone high fluency will be able to come up with many different ideas, such as building a wall, making a paperweight or using it as a doorstop. Pangalawa, flexibility and reflect. The capacity to switch between different ideas, perspective, or approaches, showcasing the adaptability in truth process. So, ang flexibility daw this is the refers to the ability to come up within ideas that are different from each other and that cover a wide range of possibilities. It reflects the ability to think outside the box. For example, if you were asked to come up with ideas. So for a new product, someone with high flexibility be will be able to come up with ideas that are good.
Good day, sir. So, my name is Shalami Guanzan. I am the 8th reporter on Group 3. So, this is the continuation of Ms. Labarate's report. The component 4, originality. Originality refers to the uniqueness of idea produced, showcasing one's ability to generate concepts that are both novel and applicable. So, from the word originality, ibig sabihin, ito po yung mga bagong ideya o mga bagong ideya na hindi pa na hindi ginaya sa iba, or ito po yung mga ideya na nangyari mismo sa sarili mong isip o sa sarili mong thoughts. So, mahalaga ito, no? Mahalaga ang originality kasi nagiging inspirasyon ito para sa iba at nagiging dahilan upang mas makilala nila at pahalagahan nila ang sarili mong gawa. So, halimbawa po ng originality is sa writing activity po. For example, sa paggawa ng tula. So, makikita mo yung originality doon kapag yung nakapaloob doon sa tula is nanggaling mismo sa puso o sa thoughts ng manunulat at hindi niya po ginaya sa ibang mga author. So, another example naman po is in terms of mga negosyo, no? In terms po of mga negosyo, so like for example, kapag yung company is malalaman nila na yung mga unang produkto nila is kumbaga parang hindi na masyadong nabibili. So, gumagawa sila ng paraan para makagawa ng mga bagong produkto o mga bagong disenyo na mas maka-attract sa iba na bumili sa kanya. Next naman po is elaboration. So, elaboration signifies the ability to expand and detail creative ideas, enhancing the depth and richness of the creative output. So, sa elaboration naman is ito yung pagpapaliwanag or pagpapalawak ng isang information para mas gawing kompleto o detalyado. So, halimbawa kapag ikaw as a teacher, kapag nagtuturo ka, like for example sa topic ng climate change, so dapat hindi ka lang nakafocus sa kung ano yung ibig sabihin ng climate change. So, dapat magdagdag ka ng mga detalye, like for example, paano nagsimula yung climate change? Ano yung epekto na dulot nito? No? Ano yung, like, para sa'yo, no? Ano yung mga maaari mong gawin or mga hakbang na maaari mong gawin para masupo or mabawasan yung climate change. Yun lamang po. Thank you.
Attitude inventory is a tools designed to systematically capture system emotional belief and feelings towards specific subject or experience. Purpose of attitude inventory is the primary purpose to evaluate student emotion, engagement, providing insight into providing motivation, preferences, and concern-related learning environment. So ang attitude inventory daw ay paraan or tools to ways to teaching para makuha ang emotion o paniniwala or salubin ng mga mag-aaral sa loob ng klase or section. Development process of inventory. Creating effectively attitude inventory involved clear objective, selecting relevant items that reflect emotion, respect, and piloting for responsibility. So, dapat magkaroon ng effectively attitude or inventory, dapat clear and concise ang layunin or objective mo. So, dapat tama pod ang choice mo sa question based on layunin. Role in educational setting. Attitude inventories inform curriculum design and instructional strategies allowing educator to cater to student emotional needs and potential barriers to learning. Attitude inventory daw ay nakakatulong sa pagdesisyon ng curriculum at pagtuturo. Binibigay nito ang mga guro ng kakayahan na matugunan ang emosyonal na pangangailangan ng mga mag-aaral at mahanap ang mga posibleng hadlang sa kanilang pagkatao.